Okay, normally I do this off camera, but since I've been doing a lot of heat treating lately and I haven't made a video in a while, I was going to show this. um, a lot of this is landscape gravel or landscape rock, which is notorious for being unpredictable. And sure enough, some of these broke up. But it's really nice material. It's difficult to work raw, but it can be worked in the raw state. So yeah, I may have been able to make something out of this one in the raw state, but I'm not too upset about it. I got others like that. Most of this stuff held up, and it's nice and translucent. I'm going to chip into this and see how it works. I'm going to pull out the bad ones first. Now, I still get questions on heat treating, and what I did was I put these in the roaster oven at 200 degrees for 3 days, because some of this stuff was in my yard for over a year, and partially buried with leaves and stuff in the landscaping, so they were probably filled with water, or moisture. So I dried them out at 200 degrees for about 3 days, and then cranked the heat up just a little bit to 300 degrees for 6 hours, and then turn the heat off and let it sit for 12 hours before I take it out. Now, 300 degrees is rather low. Some of this stuff will heat treat at 250 to 275 even, which is very low. I probably should have set it maybe at 275. But I tend to go a little bit higher, because if it's going to break, oh well. It'll probably break at 275 also. But I want to make sure that the heat goes all the way through down into the middle of the stone, and also heat up the ones that require a little more heat, or heat treat the ones that require a little more heat. Now, some of this stuff can still be used. It's not all broken like on this side here, but it's risky. I mean, if you're very short on stone, you can try knapping everything, but it's very risky. But I'll say, well, I don't know. Yeah, I'll save that. I'll put that over here so I can remember to. I'll nap this toward the end of the video and see what it looks like. But flakes like this heat treat better. They're less likely to break up. Thicker rocks have more of a temperature variability from outside to inside, and it tends to break them up. But most of these are very thin. But even so, you can tell not all of it is going to cooperate. But yeah, I can still make something out of that. Even though it did break up, it looks like it's still pretty solid. Alright. I have this preform, or this biface that I did a long time ago. You can see there's some defects and some inclusions, quartzite in there. Yeah, I probably can still nap some of this, but it'll be unpredictable. But I'll put it in the unpredictable pile over here. Well, some of this I know is nap. I'm sorry. Some of this I know will nap very well, because I've heat treated it before at this temperature and it worked out very nicely. you can see this is different than this. This is river tumbled. The cortex is very thin. This cortex is thicker and more chalky. So this is more like a true flint and this is a chert. Okay, this cortex is very hard, not chalky at all. It's river tumbled, so it's tough material. It stood up to being banged around in the river or wherever the bioturbation occurred. Big word there that sometimes is used in archaeological texts. But anyway, this is a tabular chert, but it's closer to a true flint because this appears to be a chalk on the outside for the most part. And I got some of that at the bottom there. Also got some that are multicolored. And I get asked why I don't put like a filler in here, like sand or something, to keep the temperature equalized better. I just never felt the need to do that, both because time and I get just as many broken pieces that way. Even if I put a buffer in there like sand or clay, ground up clay or cat litter even. Some people use that. I do get broken up pieces even with the buffer, like I said. The best way I think to avoid getting the broken and ruined rock is to gradually increase the heat. On this one I didn't. I went straight from 200 to 300. Okay. After 3 days, I just cranked it right up to 300. But you can vary the heat and crank it up more slowly than that. Maybe 25 degrees per hour or every 30 minutes until you get to the temperature you need. That does help to cut down on the breakage. But it's the cool down that seems to be the most important. It has to cool down for as long as possible. That's why I insulate the lid on this. It keeps the heat in for longer and it decreases more slowly. That's the most important thing, I think. All right. Okay, so that's it. This is the last piece I think that broke up. And sometimes the heat gets concentrated in the corners, that's what I hear. And if you have something that is unpredictable in the corner, it just increases the chance for it to break up. Which might have been the case on this one, but it looks like I probably still can get some areas that are workable. Again, it'll be unpredictable. Okay. And what I mean by that is while you're napping it, it might just break all of a sudden without any reason. Or seemingly without a reason. I can't tell, but I think this is the fire pop here. Yeah. This popped out in stages, it looks like. First that probably peeled off, and then that one. But the rest of this might be okay. Okay, so let's see what some of this looks like. Put my glasses on. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, this is not the landscape gravel. Let's look at, I think this is a landscape stone. Let's see. Very nice. Sometimes there's a lot of color variation, but not in this piece. It actually looks quite similar to the other one, but this is a different material. Yeah, this one was in my yard for a while. You can tell the dirt there. Very unpredictable. Let's see. Yeah, might be unusable. Yeah, it's probably unusable, but we'll just save that piece for later. And it's not to say that that would have napped well in a raw state. Sometimes they're not nappable in the raw state either. They're full of cracks and whatnot also in the raw state. But sometimes it just ends up being waste. It's just the luck of the draw. Looks kind of good. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Yeah, I can't remember which ones were. I think this is a landscape stone. Sometimes I get questions on what is the best material to use for spalling and for testing. I just use a hammerstone because I know it'll bite into just about anything. But if you want to be safe, use something softer. Guess I could use the elk billet. Very nice. Yeah, something softer will not create so many cracks at the point of impact, which could be helpful later, especially if it's a small piece. You won't have all these cracks that may endanger your napping at a later stage. These cracks can, open up and go across the piece if you're tapping on the ends. Let's see. Nice. Yeah, this is a landscape stone also. It seems to be very similar. I'm not sure where I got this. That's the thing about saving it for years, you forget where you get it. Yeah. See what I mean? It won't open up when I'm using that softer billet. This one's got some issues, I think. So I'll put it in that unpredictable pile. I think this is actually a piece of citronelle gravel from Louisiana or Mississippi. Yeah. Ooh, nice stuff. I'm going to put this over on the other side. I think I have a purpose for that one. Yellow's my favorite. Again, another landscape stone and nice translucent material, but I don't know. It's got some issues. Yeah. Definitely got some issues. I think this one is fine, this chert. But I'll test it anyway. Yeah. You can tell how I don't know if you can tell, but some stones get a patina on them very quickly. This has only been in my yard for 2 years, and it's already got a very distinct difference in the outer and inner colors. Yeah, I think this will be fine. Actually, this might not be heated enough. It's still knappable, but I think at a higher heat it would be a little bit better. But I'll just keep it this way. You can put it back in and reheat stones many, many times. I think, you know, you might have stones that reach a certain tolerance level and they start to break up after too many heatings, but I haven't reached that tolerance level yet on my heat treating. Although I don't heat treat more than 2 times usually. Oh yeah, this one's very nice. Landscape stones sometimes are good. Sometimes you can tell by the sound if it rings really nicely. It probably has no cracks, and this is good. Let's see the color. It's kind of a grayish, still good though. Yeah, these heavier ones, I was kind of hesitant about putting them in there, but let's just see what happens. Sometimes these don't heat very well, but it looks like this one might be okay. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, I was afraid of that. You got to be careful when you heat treat and you're banging on the ends. That's what happens, and there doesn't seem to be any reason for it to do that. So that was just my error. Shouldn't have put so much force on it. I probably could have been safer and hit more like right here and then send a flake this way to thin the tip instead of trying to thin the tip with something like that. But still usable. Let's see, 20 minutes. See what this one looks like. Nice. You can see how those cracks with the hammerstone look like. But once you get a good surface, you can hit with something softer. Yeah, it looks like that'll work nice. So I don't know if you're keeping track of how much. Well, let's see. The good pile is winning. The bad, this is the bad pile there. That's the biface. I'm not even gonna hit on that right now. I'm afraid to break it. But yeah, the good pile is winning by a little bit. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah. Nice. I think the good pile is winning by almost 2-1 now. Ooh, that's nice. And this is the landscape rock, I think. Yeah. I may have broken it earlier or a year ago or whatever. Trying to break into it when it was in a raw state. Nice. All right, let's see. This one might have issues near the cortex, but the middle looks pretty good. Cool. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, I say it looks pretty good. On the other side of the stone, sometimes it's not good. Like, it can vary from one end to the next, or from one end to the other. Sometimes it might be good here. You might check here, but over here it's broken up. But sometimes you can tell by tapping on it if it's going to be solid. This one feels a little bit. It doesn't ring quite as well as the other piece, so it might have some cracks in it. But I'm not going to mess with it. It's pretty thin. Let's see. Just one more. Yeah, see what I mean? This side is all broken. But it may just be that one area. I'll have to biface the whole thing to figure it out if it's good. But I'll put this in the unpredictable pile. Oh yeah, that's got issues in there. Uh-oh. Oh, that side's pretty good. This is looks like a very old, maybe an impact right there. I don't know. But this piece looks good, and this end looks good, but I don't know about this end. Yeah, unpredictable. I gotta stop doing that. But this looks really nice. Yeah, it's still good. I can still get a long piece there, but that's just very annoying. Very, very nice material. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, it looks okay, even though it's broken in half. I see I gotta stop doing it, but it's hard to stop. To minimize breaking them in half. Oh gosh, let's see. See, this one, it reverse hinged. That's what that one did. The angle is very steep right there, so normally it wouldn't reverse hinge, but since it's heat treated, it has a tendency to do that more often. But it looks like it's solid on the inside, so I should get 2 reasonable sized points out of it. Maybe some long flakes to make other points. If I were to estimate, I could get 4 points out of this, 2 from these big chunks and then 2 more from large thinning flakes at least. Yeah, that's the good stuff. Okay, let's see what this biface looks like. Just a little bit here. Yeah, it looked like it heat treated nicely. That may take some effort to clear off this, but it looks like it's okay. Yeah, it looks good. Although this might have benefited from a little more heat, but it still looks good. It's not as glossy as the other ones. I'm not going to hit too much on this one because I'm afraid of a reverse hinge and snapping it again in the middle. It might have some issues with it, near the cortex especially. But as I get into the middle, I don't know if I'll have time to nap that one I was going to nap. Let's see, 29 minutes. Yeah, it might have some issues because it is breaking up in a strange way. Yeah, that's unpredictable. Let's see what this is. That looks pretty good. Yeah, so I decided to put a lot of this landscape rock in the heat treater instead of trying to nap it raw because I want to get more into the abo napping thing and to to knap this stuff raw with abo tools just eats up my antler and all that really, really fast. So, you know, I'd rather work with heat treated material. So that's why I sacrificed a lot of this stuff. I think I'd rather sacrifice the stone than my tools. For now, anyway. It's more expensive for me to buy antler than it is for me to buy that type of rock. This rock is very, very cheap. Anyway, the rest of this looks pretty good. I don't have to worry about these. So that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay.